What is up, Breaking Bad fans? Kino here, and we have arrived at the end of season 2. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for continuing to watch these videos. Like I always say, it's just a joy to be able to share my love of the show with all of you, see your wonderful comments, and then just participate in this community that we've kind of formed here among all these kind of great shows like The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, The Wire. It's awesome to be able to talk about that with all of you guys. Now, one thing I wanted to address here at the end of the season was I have been reading some comments that people have made, letting me know that some people have felt that these Breaking Bad logs have been a little bit more, plot focused, a little bit more straight to the point, not as maybe in depth as some of the Soprano logs have been. And I'm aware of that. I think that one of the reasons for that is because Breaking Bad as a whole, compared to The Sopranos, is a much more plot driven and like straight to the point kind of show. It's very clear what's happening and why things are happening for the most part. There are times when I do get into like some deep explanations of character motivations and things like that. But at least for these first few seasons, it's been a lot of setup and kind of establishing the characters. And I really think that going on to season 3 and onward, that's when things really start to pop off. That's when we get some really great character moments, some really exciting plot moments, and a lot more behind the scenes stuff to talk about. So I think that they will get better and better as they go on, but I do want to acknowledge that, and hopefully you guys are enjoying them for what they are so far. Now, as always, at the end of each season, I do like to take one brief moment to, plug my shit and talk about it to all of you guys. So real quick, let's just get this out of the way. If you do want to support the channel, you can do so on Patreon. There are some benefits depending on which tier you go in. You can have your name mentioned at the end of the videos, as well as participate in discussions with me on Patreon there. So feel free to sign up for that if it's something you're interested in. You can, of course, follow me on Twitter for any updates and anything else I post on there. And I do want to give a brief shout out to the other channels that I'm involved in. So one, of course, is my second channel, Kino Studios. You can check this out for basically any kind of content that doesn't really have a place on the main channel, but it's something I might want to talk about. This is also where I'm posting my day of reactions to the new season of Better Call Saul, and I'm going to do that for other shows like House of the Dragon and whatever other new shows pop up that I'm reacting to one episode at a time. I just feel like that's not enough content for a video to be on the main channel. When I do the whole season long, reactions, then I feel like that's worth it. But for all this little stuff, I'm going to put it over there. So if you want more content from me, if you enjoy that kind of stuff, go subscribe over there. I'm going to continue to post a lot more stuff to that second channel. I also want to give a quick plug to the podcast that I co-run with my co-host, Macabre Storytelling. It's called No One's a Critic. I'll link it in the description as well. We talk about a lot of similar stuff as we do on here, media, our personal lives, a bunch of different stuff. And usually we post like once every 2 weeks over there for an hour-long discussion. So if you're interested in hearing from me or Mac, go ahead and check out that channel as well. But I feel like that's enough, selling for now. Without further ado, let's get into the episode review. This is ABQ. We open again with the black and white scene from the flash forward. This time we get the whole scene, with the men in the hazmat suits taking burned items from the White House. As the scene becomes color, we see burning in the distance, and realize that the damage is much greater than just to the White family. After the credits, we cut to Jesse trying to wake up Jane after she choked to death last episode. As he realizes that she's dead, he's absolutely devastated. He then calls Walt, who pretends not to know what happened. He tells Jesse everything will be okay, as he knows who to call. We're led to think that this is going to be Saul Goodman, but we're actually introduced to a new character, Mike. He's a fixer, very much like Winston Wolfe from Pulp Fiction, who's called in to take care of problems. He goes through Jesse's house, removing all the drugs and incriminating evidence before they call the police. He then instructs Jesse what to say when the EMTs arrive, and it's clear that he's a professional and knows what to do during dangerous situations. Originally, this was going to be Saul helping Jesse out, but the actor Bob Odenkirk was unavailable due to being on How I Met Your Mother. Mike was created as a one-off character, but he was so well received that he was made a series regular, and now he's one of the leads on Better Call Saul. Back at the White residence, Walter Jr. shows his parents how much money the website is making in donations. Walt, of course, knows that it's his money funneling into the site. However, he's annoyed by how much his family is excited, thinking that strangers are helping out their family. This is only compounded further when Marie gets the story on the local news. Walt is very uncomfortable with the attention this is getting, and also the praise he's getting as a good man, when in the very last episode, he let a young girl die. Meanwhile, Jane's father, Donald, arrives at the duplex to pick her up for rehab. He sees the ambulance there and realizes what has happened. He goes inside and sees them loading her dead body onto a gurney. The EMT then asks him and Jesse questions about Jane. He says that she was born in Phoenix, which is where the title of the last episode comes from. He's then told where he can pick up the body for the funeral service. Meanwhile, at the DEA, Hank announces a fundraiser for Walt's surgery. The shot ends up showing Walt's picture underneath the wanted sign, which is great editing considering that he's actually the one that they're looking for. Hank goes over how Combo was found dead with Blue Sky meth, and the supply of meth has moved to every state outside of New Mexico. He thinks that Heisenberg has wised up and started going regional, but is still very much active and operating from Albuquerque. Later, Hank meets with some local business leaders who are sponsoring the DEA's annual fun run. Gus Fring turns out to be one of these men, who is hiding in plain sight as a friend of the DEA. Gus notices the fundraiser for Walt and learns that not only is he dying of cancer, but he's also the brother-in-law of Hank. This will be very useful information for him later on. Meanwhile, Walt has Mike track Jesse down, who's doing drugs in a crack house. Despite Mike's warning, Walt goes in himself to get Jesse. He tries to pull him away, but Jesse breaks down crying, saying that he loved Jane and it's his fault that she's dead. This is the start of a constant trend of Jesse blaming himself for the things that Walt is guilty of. Back at the duplex, Donald goes through Jane's things looking for a dress for her funeral service. Jane has a mural painted on her wall, which includes the pink teddy bear from the flash forwards. Both the bear and her are falling from the sky, which is also symbolic given what happens in this episode. Also, Jane has a photo of Elizabeth Bishop, a famous poet and painter, on her wall. Donald also says that Jane's mother's name was Bishop. Bishop is Vince Gilligan's favorite poet, and he included this as an Easter egg. Meanwhile, Walt has Jesse taken to a rehab center to get him off the heroin. He says that he's going to be gone for a while after the surgery, but is taking care of everything for Jesse. Jesse says that he understands what Walt said in the desert about deserving all of this. This is a reference to the scene in 4 Days Out. It's clear that Jesse feels responsible for Jane's death, and that Walt is doing all of this for Jesse because he is actually guilty and trying to atone for it in some way. Walt then heads in for his surgery. He's given drugs to relax him, which get him very high. When Skylar asks if he brought his cell phone with him, he deliriously asks which cell phone. Skylar then realizes that Walt does indeed have 2 phones. The surgery is successful, and Walt is cleared with good health. Afterwards, Skylar suspiciously asks how soon Walt can be on his own, which is great foreshadowing to what comes next. When they get back home, Skylar packs her bags, saying she's going to Hank and Marie's for the weekend. When she gets back, she wants Walt gone from the house. She says that she knows that he's been lying to her about the second phone. When he denies having an affair, she says she knows because she called Gretchen. Gretchen revealed that she and Elliot did not pay for Walt's treatment, and Skylar also called Walt's mom, who revealed that he never went to visit her. Seeing the true extent of how much Walt has been lying to her, she leaves. Though he offers to tell her the truth if she'll stay, she says she's scared to know where he got the money from and drives off. Meanwhile, Donald returns to work as an air traffic controller, trying to keep his mind off Jane. However, as he's working, he gets distracted, accidentally saying Jane instead of Juliet. This leads him to sending two planes on the same path. Walt, sitting at his home in the backyard, hears a boom overhead and sees an explosion as two planes collide into each other. Debris from the plane falls to the ground, including the pink teddy bear, which is what the flash forward was this entire time. This ending is incredibly dramatic, and there's also a level of irony to it. The accident happened because Donald was distracted with Jane's death. The reason Walt went back to Jesse's place and knocked Jane over was because Donald had told him never to give up on family. We also see the far-reaching consequences of Walt's actions, much more than he could have ever anticipated. When he allowed Jane to die, he ended up inadvertently killing over 100 other people, and this will not be the only example of that. There's also hidden foreshadowing to this ending in the title of the episodes. The titles of the 1st, 4th, 10th, and 13th episodes form a sentence which reads 737 down over ABQ. Wayfarer 515, which crashes, is a Boeing 737, and ABQ is an acronym for Albuquerque. You guys don't know how hard it was for me not to mention that during each of those episodes, but of course I had to save it for the big reveal. This crash was partially inspired by the 1986 Aeromexico Flight 498 crash. Funny enough, the air traffic controller responsible for that was named Walter White. And this is completely unrelated, but I actually knew someone named Walter White in real life, and his dad was named Brian Cranston White, both having no relation to the show. Anyway, I'm really reaching for behind the scenes details here, so that's pretty much everything I have to say about the episode. Thank you guys so much for watching these videos, and stay tuned for a whole nother season of Breaking Bad coming soon. I woke up, I liked the video, that's all I know. Russell, Sean, Heart of Markness, Logan, Clean, John Reyna, Jesse Sterling, Andrew Stewart, Ops Gracing Media, Daz J. Kit, Conan Higgins, Sam Searlin, Don Lucania, Celery Man, and Jenna Marie Johnson.